Next question. Discuss the concept of the national income and methods to calculate it. Okay. Though this is a very static question, fundamental question, I know people will get confused here. So that's the reason I have taken up this question. This question needs little bit conceptual clarity. So that's why I have taken up this question. So introduction. What is actually the national income? National income means country's income, right? You and me and all the other people, who all of those incomes, when we add together, then we will finally arrive at the national income. So this is the actually concept of the national income. So that's what I have introduced in the introduction. National income is the income of the nation, which measures the nation progress in terms of the quantity. It can be measured in the different forms like GDP, GNP, NDP and NNP. So this is what I have to explain now here. Now what is, now see, this national income, is actually can be measured under the different indicators. It's not necessary that I have to use only GDP or GNP. All these are the GDP and GNP are nothing but different perspectives to look at the national income. I can use the GDP, I can arrive at national income, some different value will be arrived. I can use the GNP, some different value will be arrived. So it is just basically inclusion of few things and exclusion of the few things. It is just some kind of mathematics, formulas, addition and subtraction. But all these are nothing but showing the national income from different perspectives. So what is the national income concept that is used by the Ministry of Statistics? What is the method that is used in India is GDP at the market price. So this is the GDP at the market price is what used by the Ministry of the Statistics currently. In your previous year questions, UPSC prelims questions, it is different because that is the old concept. Now they are using the GDP at the market price. Now what before getting into this, what is GDP and GNP is, now let's I want to add some kind of fact. The real GDP is at 157 lakh crore and the nominal GDP is 273 lakh crore. Now let's understand what is this GNP is. GNP is actually the residential concept, okay, and GDP is the territorial concept. It is given here, okay. If you can see here, I have given it in the simply in one line. So like I have told you, the national income can be measured based on the different different concepts. I can measure it by using the GDP, I can measure using the GNP, I can measure using the NDP or NNP, right? So I'm just trying to give the concepts. But what we actually use is this thing, okay. But GNP is also a concept. In this we consider the production or income of the residents. This is not citizens. Now who are these residents? Residents are those people whose primary economic interest lies in that country. Let's say that person is doing some kind of job, okay. Let's say the person is paying some kind of tax. Let's assume that I'm not citizen of India, but I'm staying here for more than 1 year. I'm paying tax here. I'm getting salary from here. I have registered my company in the India itself. I might be citizen of non-citizen of India, okay, but still I am the resident of India because I'm paying taxes here. I have my company is registered here. So in these cases, when the GNP is calculating, they will calculate based on the residents. It is not based on the citizens, which generally people will think based on the gross national product. Okay, in this we consider the product or income of the residents. They can be both citizens and the non-citizens whose economic interest is in the nation, like payment of the taxes, business registrations, etc. Now, from whatever the GNP value I got, if I remove the depreciations means you might have all known, okay, the loss of value, okay, let's say this board is there. After a few years, this board will not work in the same way, right? There will be depreciation. So that will be considered, okay, that is called as a NNP. NNP is GNP minus depreciation. Now, what is the difference? What is the GDP? This is a territorial concept. In this, we consider the production or income generated in the domestic territory of both residents as well as the non-residents. Okay, let's say within this India's domestic territory, there are also non-resident citizens also whose primary interest is not in the whose primary economic interest is not present in the India, but they are producing within the territory. Okay, so that will be included here. So it does not matter whether you are a resident or non-resident, but if it is produced within the domestic territory, then we will add it in the GDP. We use this method for simplification purposes, but generally globally that is used is the GNP. So now your GDP is equal to GDP at basic prices. So this is the formula that you have to remember. I will explain this thing. Okay, so understand this thing. If you could not understand, simply just you can by heart the same formula. Mostly that will not be asked, that formulas will not be asked. But once it was asked in the UPSC, discuss the changes that were happened in the calculation of the recently. They have asked discuss the GDP. Calculation changes that was happened. Okay, they have asked. So it's better to understand. Okay, this thing. Okay, now now let's take this thing. Okay, here actually a person. Let's say I'm the person. I'm producing a kind of food product in my company. Okay, now let's say I have produced something. Okay, let's say I have produced some kind of chocolate. For that, whatever the cost I have incurred, the input cost I have incurred, and based on the profit, okay, I have given some kind of cost for that product, and that is called the factory cost. Actually, what kind of cost that is incurred because of the factors of production? What are the factors of production? You might be knowing that: land, labor, capital, and the entrepreneurship. Okay, so what are the factors of production? There are 4 factors of the production, and these factors of 4 factors of production will receive the revenue, right? Will receive the money. Okay, let me show you there. Okay, there is land, labor, okay, capital, and entrepreneurship. These are the 4 factors of production. This land will give the rent, this labor will get the wages, and this capital will get the interest, and this entrepreneur will get the profit. These are the 4 factors of production, basic level of economy you might have already studied. So based on those factors of production, without any addition of the taxes and subsidies, here whatever the cost I am getting, that is called the factor cost. So when I do the summation for all the industries and service sector, the actual factor cost that is that I am getting is called as a GVA. Okay, what actually cost that I have incurred because of the factors of production. So when I do the summation of this GVA, then this is called the GDP at the factor cost. Earlier we used to calculate based on this thing. Later on, we have introduced the GDP at the market price. Now what is this GDP at market price? GDP at the market price is the final price. Here the GDP, we will add the GDP at the basic price, we will add the production taxes, and we will deduct the product tax and the product subsidy. Now let's say this is a pen I have. Okay, I have sold it in the for the some kind of 1,000 rupees in the market. Okay, the government, the market price is 1,000 rupees, but let's say my cost might be 900 rupees only. On this, government might be adding some kind of 100 rupees of the tax. So tax will be added, and subsidies government might not be giving it. So subsidies considering it 0. So on this product, on my factor cost, government is adding the on this product, individual product, on this pen, government is adding the tax. Okay, government is giving any kind of subsidy. Okay, that is called the product tax and the product subsidy. So finally the cost of this pen will become the 1,000 rupees. Now what is this GDP at the base price? GDP at the basic price is equal to GDP at the factor cost plus production tax minus the production subsidies. Now we have got the GDP at the factor cost. This is nothing but the sum of the factors income. So on this, government will also impose production tax, or they will reduce the production subsidies. Now what is this production? The product tax will happen on the one particular product. Production tax, let's say from wherever I'm teaching the class, this region, okay, let's say consider as a special economic zone. Government on this whole region, okay, let's say reducing the amount of stamp duty, or is reducing the land tax, or is imposing the stamp duty, or is imposing the land tax on this whole company, or else on the whole area as a whole, not on the individual product, on this everything on the whole. When they impose the tax, that is called as a production tax. Now if you see here, there is no such kind of taxation or subsidies. This is the actually cost that are incurred, the factors of production, on the factors of production. By in order to produce something, these are the 4 things I use. Okay, whatever the cost that has been incurred by using these 4 things is the actually GDP at the factor cost. Now on this, government is imposing the production tax and reducing the production subsidies, then I will get the basic price. When this goes to the market and government will individually launch taxes, then this become the product tax and the product subsidies. Government has moved towards this method. Now that this was criticized. Earlier, if you see here, there is no concept of the taxes. Now by simply increasing the taxes, your GDP will be increased, right? So this method got criticized. So this is one of the changes that has happened. Now in order to calculate the GDP at the market price and all, we also use actually 3 methods, right? You might have already studied these 3 methods. What are the major 3 methods that are used? Income method, product method and the expenditure method. Now these are the 3 methods. What is the income? The income is, I have told you, those factors of production which we have discussed here. Okay, these are the 4 factors of production. These are the only 4 factors of production that is present in the economy. These 4 factors of production are generating some kind of income. So when I club all these things, all the incomes or this thing, then I will get a the final value, and that will become the GDP. Okay, so in the same way, now let's see. We have seen in the example of the GST. Okay, I will show you again. So in the example of the GST, I have told you what is the value addition. So what is the value addition that is happening here? Final value minus the initial value. So value addition is actually 100 rupees, right? So this is called the product method. We will add the what is actually value added by the company. We will not take all the products. It is a summation of the value addition. Okay, here 100 rupees, here 100 rupees, here 100 rupees. Okay, then final value is 300 rupees. So because of this thing, multiplication, duplication of efforts will not happen. This is one of the method called the product method in calculation of the GDP. This is the product method, that is sum of the GVA. Then there is the expenditure method. To calculate the expenditure method, we know there are 4 sectors are present. That is government sector, private sector, household sector and the external sector. Now I have told you this is contributing to the 23% of the GDP, right? So that is what. Okay, there are 4 sectors. That's how that's the reason our exports are very important for us. Okay, we are earning 23% of the GDP because of this component, and also because of this household and the private sector, and the government sector, there would be demand. What would the government would purchase? Government would purchase 2 types of the goods: consumer goods and the capital goods. Okay, private sector will generally purchase only capital goods. Okay, household sector will generally purchase only consumer goods. They don't do any kind of production, right? So basically, this household demand is very high. Gross final consumption expenditure, they would say. Okay, because of the household demand only, most of the GDP is running in the economy. So that is not much important. So you have to remember the expenditure method. In the expenditure, we are considering 4 sectors of the economy: government, private sector, household sector and the external sector. So this is one of the method. So what the Ministry of Statistics, which method the Ministry of Statistics uses? Ministry of Statistics use both these methods, income method and the product method. Then finally they will come at the value. In order to get the incomes of the informal economy, they use the income method. Okay, so because it is very difficult to calculate the incomes of the informal economy from this value added method. They are not present in the economy, so they will go by the income method. So government will try to use these 2 methods and finally arrive at a value. Okay. So these are the methods. Now it becomes very simple for us to understand the issues. Okay, so we have discussed the concept, we have discussed the methods. Now what is the issues? So it is GDP at market price is being criticized because taxation effect can happen. Now you might have studied, okay, women will be also playing role in this economy by in terms of the taking care of the household, domestic needs and all. But those things are generally neglected, right? This is the neglect of the care economy. This is not considered. And if you observe what is actually your GDP is saying, the more you buy, the more products you buy, it will increase the your GDP value, right? They are not talking about whether that purchase, whether that consumption is required or not. You buy, you consume something. Okay, this is a kind of consumption-oriented economy, and this can lead to the consumerism. This is not actually suitable. It might increase the economy, it might increase the money of the nation, but is it really required? You might purchase something, but is it really you want that thing? Is it need or greed? Is it consumerism or it is necessity? So your GDP is actually the method of calculation of country's progress through GDP is actually increasing the consumerism culture. It is actually promoting the greed. Okay, the show of culture that is happening now. This kind of greed will lead to the more production. Okay, but this production is coming at the cost of your impact on the environment. Okay, and you are also seeing only quantitative aspect of development of the nation in terms of the GDP growth, but you are not seeing the qualitative aspect. Okay, you might have got the national income, you might GDP is increasing, but does it mean it is increasing the qualitative aspect also? Is it increasing the health aspect also? It is increasing the educational aspect also? Is it decreasing the poverty? Is it improving the freedom of the people? These aspects are not taken care here. That's why we are also going through with the alternative indicators. Like say you have the alternative indicators in the form of HDA indicator, multidimensional poverty indicator, general inequality index. So all these things are coming up. Green economy is coming up. Okay, so these are the issues in the methods. Okay, it neglects the care economy. It neglects the environment and health, happiness, etc. Informal economy, generally it is very difficult to calculate their contribution to the GDP. It is generally extrapolated. The exact value we do not know. And depreciation is also very difficult. And promotion of consumption is against the sustainable development. That's how GDP growth rate can increase the nation's capacity to take steps towards the qualitative aspects of the development, and at the same time data integrity should be ensured with time to time revision of the data and methodology. So what kind of GDP is it a right value or not? So there should be some kind of data integrity also, and methodology should be also proper. That's what the conclusion is talking about.